Now let's go ahead and bring in these images and finish off this top section. So the first image we want to bring in is this code.org logo right here. And if the 1 million lines site changes at all, then you can always find these logos and the images down in the lesson source files. If the sites change, they're not on here. But I'm going to show you how to grab them off sites as well. So we're going to go to this logo. We're going to right click on it. And we're going to save image as. And we want to go into our desktop because that's where our first site file is. And then we want to create a new folder in that first site file called images. Create. So you have this images folder now, and I'm just going to go call it code.png. All right. And we're going to save it. Now, to bring it into our site here, we're going to go over to Sublime. And we're going to put this image. Now you're going to see a new tag here, an image tag, img. And an image tag is interesting. Well, first of all, let me put this. Image tag is interesting because it has no closing tag. It's just one tag, an opening tag. And to tell the computer or the browser where the image is, we use this source attribute here. So it's just like before. It's very similar to this href over here, where we tell the browser how to get to the CSS document. It's a similar path. So what we're doing is we're still in this index.html file, which is in the first site folder. So to get to that image, we look for the images folder, and we go into it, tell the browser to go into it, and then the file is called code.png. So let's save that. And nice, now you see code.png. And there's some other things we can add here. You see how different tags, we've used classes, you see role here, we have source. These are all called HTML attributes for that tag. So the image has two other attributes that are important. The first one is title. So we're going to call it code.org logo. And this title is what shows if you scroll over the image for long enough. So I'll show you here in a second. The other one is alt. And this is what's going to show if the image loads improperly. Like if you've ever seen a site and the images are broken and there's text within the square, then that's what was in their alt attribute code. So we're going to reload the page. Scroll over the image so you can see code.org logo. Exactly what we put in here for title. So different HTML tags have different attributes that go along with it. These are the three important ones for image. You can also use height and width, and you can check out W3 Schools image tag to see all the different attributes you can use, and you can do that with all types of different HTML tags as well. All right, so we have this here. Now we need to get the right background. So we're going to go over here and we're going to inspect this element. Notice the difference between right clicking on this, and we have the option to save the image, copy the image URL, copy image, then right clicking on this and we don't have that option. That's because this background image right here, or this is a background image, and it's in the CSS. So you can tell the Jumbotron covers that whole area, and see they have this background attribute right here. So we're going to right click on this, and now you see these options. So we're going to say open link in new tab, which will open the image, and you see the image here. So let's go ahead and save this image. We're going to save it just like the other one in the images folder, and this one's going to be hero_image.jpg. So we save that. Now we're going to come over here to our custom CSS, and remember it was a background image for the div with the class of Jumbotron. So we're going to say background image And for this, we had the href for the CSS documents. We had the source for the image. When you're doing a background image in CSS, it's URL. And where it's similar as the other ones, we're going to give it a path to get to the image from this custom.css document. So we're no longer in this index.html document. We're now in this custom.css document, which is in the CSS folder. Now remember earlier I talked about 2 dots and this backslash escapes, and I forgot I gotta put this around here, put quotations. 2 dots and this backslash escapes from the current folder. So it's saying get out of the current folder, which is CSS. Now we're in the first site folder. So now we want to tell it to look for the images folder and then the hero image.jpg. That should do it. Let's make sure. Beautiful. Very nice. So we have the image there. And what we need to fix now is we need to fix this text here. So let's look at it. Now we're going to make it white, and we could do the H1 and tell it to go white, and we could do the paragraph and tell it to have font color of white, or as we know from now, we can say, well, we want all the font in the div with the class of Jumbotron to be white, so just say color white. Boom, we have that. So let's go over here and change that in here. Jumbotron, color, white, save. Now, some other things. Everything looks pretty good there. Also, notice the thinness in the font here. See how thin that font is? There's just a little, bolder here. So this is called font weight. So we're going to go to this paragraph and we're going to give it a font weight. Whoops. We're going to give it a font weight of 100. Now, you see how thin it is? Beautiful. So give it that. All right. And one thing I want to do is I want to bring this in a little bit, and because I don't like how wide it is. Remember how we talked earlier, so this Jumbotron, this div with a class of container contains, this H1, this paragraph with a link here, and this image here, and it gives it a width of 1170, okay? Well, these H1s don't have a specified width, and the paragraphs don't have a completely specified width of exactly what it is, so it listens to the container. So it says it should be a width of 1170, and I want to push this in a little bit. So I'm going to give it a padding. Let me make sure it doesn't already have a padding here. All right, we haven't given it any padding. I'm going to give it a padding top 0, because it's already that way. But to bring it in some, to push it in on the side some, I'm going to give it a padding of 20 pixels. Let's give it a little bit more, 40 pixels. We'll go 50 pixels. That way this is nice and on its own line. And so what it does is it pushes in, since, the width of this document, of this div element here is specified by the container. What the padding does is goes in on that, so it pushes the text in a little bit. And margin would have done the same. So either one, but I'm going to use padding. So we're going to push the sides in here. Everything looks good. And now, let me write that in. What did we say, 50 pixels? All right, so I pushed it in. and then we're going to change this image right here. So we'll go over here, we'll save this image as, and we got, I'm going to say top logo, just so we don't have to write as much. You can name it whatever you want. Top logo, save. So we go up here, right here where we have 1 million lines, and we're going to do an image tag just like we did. src equals, remember, we want to get it from index to images, so we're going to do images dash top underscore logo dot png. And we're going to do alt, and this is what shows if it doesn't load properly, 1 million lines. And we're going to do title 1 million lines. All right, now one thing you'll notice is that these two are inline elements, because if we save it, so the link and the image, same line. Another thing is you see how there's .png here, and in our CSS it was .jpeg. The difference between PNG is PNGs have transparent backgrounds. So see how behind that 1 million lines in white, and how behind this code.org logo here, you can see the background behind it. That just means they have transparent backgrounds. JPEGs are squares. And you'll see that more as you work with images, if that doesn't make sense right now. But it will the more you work with images. All right, so we have the site completely looking up top as we want it. Great job. And now we're going to move on and start doing this bottom section here.